So Goldshell just announced a new at-home Kaspa miner. Well, it's kind of an at-home miner, but also kind of not. I'll explain more what I mean in just a minute, but I thought mainly in this video, let's look at how this thing actually stacks up against all the other Kaspa miners that are available, and if this thing actually is worth getting, or if there are better alternatives out there. So that is what's coming up in this video, after this quick word from our sponsor.
Coin Mining Central is an online store for ASIC miners, and there's no doubt that right now ASIC mining profitability has just been going up like crazy in these past few months. And the miners that I'm personally most interested in right now are probably the IceRiver AL0 Home, a lithium miner, and the Jasminer X16Q, which I still think is probably the best ASIC miner available for at-home miners like myself. Coin Mining Central are also continuously providing me with exclusive discount codes for you guys, like the code 𝗬𝗢, which gives you $125 off on every miner in your order. I am also very excited to tell you that Coin Mining Central have recently launched a loyalty program that lets you earn points in loads of different ways, like signing up for their newsletter or following them on social media. You also earn points on every order you make with them, and these loyalty points can then be redeemed for massive discounts on your next purchase. Now, on top of this, with Coin Mining Central, worldwide express shipping is always free, and there are never any added payment fees during checkout or anything like that. The listed price is always the total cost you'll pay for the miners. And I did a lot of research before I decided to partner up with Coin Mining Central, and there were two clear things that stood out to me about them. The first one being that as opposed to most other ASIC vendors that are based overseas, Coin Mining Central is registered and run out of England, Europe, which means they have to adhere to the very strict regulations for customer support and personal detail protection that we have over here. And of course, all brand new miners also come with a full manufacturer warranty. The second thing is their pretty much spotless track record of delivering miners to happy customers like you guys for well over 5 years at this point. So please go check them out today. I'll have the discount codes and link for you down in the video description.
So yes, Coin Mining Central, who do sell these miners, is sponsoring this video. However, they did not specifically ask me to make this video. I'm free to say whatever I want about these miners. They did not get to review the video before I upload it or anything like that. Plus, we're also mainly just gonna be looking at the numbers for this miner here and compare that to the numbers of the other miners, which, you know, is kind of what I'm mostly all about on this channel anyway. But with that said, let's actually hop on over to the computer here and have a look at how this new Goldshell Kaspa miner does stack up against the competition. Alright, so here is the release announcement by Goldshell on Twitter, and you can see this thing is basically the size of just a regular tower PC. And if we look at the specs of this thing, it does 5.5 terahash of hash rate, which is pretty good for Kaspa mining. And it does that at 1800 watts of power consumption, which gives it a mining efficiency of 327 joules per terahash or watts per terahash. Now, I'm going to give you my quick rundown of who I think this miner might make sense for, and then we're going to compare it to kind of the rest of the market in terms of other readily available Kaspa miners. So where do I think this might make sense? Who do I think this might make sense for? And I think that is if you are wanting to diversify your mining farm by getting some part of Kaspa mining into your farm, which I think that definitely makes sense, wanting to have some part of Kaspa mining as a part of a diverse mining farm. And you specifically want to mine specifically Kaspa, so specifically mine as opposed to buy the coin, and specifically Kaspa. And you are very concerned with noise. So those three things, if they are a yes for you, then this miner might be the one to look at. However, there is still one kind of weird thing that you need to keep in mind with this miner, and that is that it is marketed as a home miner, but this thing pulls 1800 watts of power. And that kind of puts it in a weird spot, because if you're living somewhere where you have 120 volt power in your home, so for example, I guess like all of America, then 1800 watts is just too much to put on a regular circuit in your home. And that is because 1800 watts is just too much power for something like a regular 15 amp 120 volt circuit, which I'm guessing most of you with 120 volts in your homes have. So to run this home miner in your home, if you have 120 volt, you'd either need to have like a special, I guess at least 20 amp, but even better 30 amp 120 volt circuits, which I don't even know if that's even a thing. Maybe some of you guys in America can tell me if that's even something that exists. Or you'd need a dedicated like 240 volt service installed in your home. Now, if you live somewhere where you have native 240 volt in your home, like in most of Europe, for example, then running this at home shouldn't really be a problem. You could even run this on just like a regular 10 amp breaker and it should be no problem at all. But that is just something to keep in mind as we go forward here. It's a home miner that you kind of can just plug in at home on a regular circuit. So yeah, kind of weird. But with that in mind, let's move on and look more into this new Goldshell miner. So currently, profitability for this string is roughly $5.50 per day after power. However, it is expected for this number to go down kind of dramatically in the near future because a lot of new hash rate is expected to come onto the Kaspa network within the next month or so. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. And now let's just see how this thing stacks up against the competition in terms of other available Kaspa miners. So this is my spreadsheet for comparing Kaspa miners. I'll leave a link to the spreadsheet down below. If you open that link and make a copy, you can actually enter your own values in these fields here. And this spreadsheet also lets you kind of calculate the long-term potential profitability for different scenarios and all of that good stuff. But I've gone in detail about how this spreadsheet works in a lot of other videos, so I'm not going to touch on that too much in this video because mainly I want to focus on this new miner and how it stacks up. And the two main things we probably want to focus on to start is the mining efficiency as well as the value for money and how that stacks up against the competition. So mining efficiency is basically just the amount of hash rate you get per watt, or in this case, I've specified it as the amount of watts needed per gigahash of hash rate. So you want this to be as low as possible, basically, meaning you get as much hash rate per power as possible. And then your value for money is basically just how much are you paying for each gigahash of hash rate. So you want this to be as low as possible as well. Now, a big selling point for this miner, in my eyes at least, is that it is silent. So let's start by comparing it with the other silent Kaspa miners. These are all the kind of current generation Kaspa miners that are available, by the way. So the other silent ones would be just the other two Goldshell Kaspa miners, as well as the IceRiver KS0 Ultra. And the big thing that sets this one apart from the other silent Kaspa miners is obviously the actual amount of hash rate that you're getting. This thing has way more hash rate than any of the other silent Kaspa miners on the market. But of course, it also uses way more power to provide you with that amount of hash rate. So let's just look how it actually stacks up. Efficiency wise, it is more efficient than both of the other Goldshell miners. However, the IceRiver KS0 Ultra is actually significantly more efficient at 0.25 watts per gigahash, while the new Goldshell one is only at 0.33 watts per gigahash. Keep in mind you want this number to be as low as possible. Now, that said, the IceRiver is significantly more expensive per gigahash at basically twice the price per gigahash here, meaning you get a lot more hash rate for your dollar with the new Goldshell. Now, comparing it to the two other Goldshell boxes, you can see this thing is basically on par efficiency wise, slightly better than the regular KA box. But the regular KA box is obviously way more expensive per gigahash. I also think this isn't really sold anymore. And the KA Box Pro, you can see, is slightly less efficient, but has a slightly cheaper cost per gigahash. So basically, this thing is kind of in the middle for both of these things. If you are just focused on power efficiency, then the IceRiver is better. And if you just want the most amount of hash rate possible for your dollar, then the KA Box Pro is slightly better in that regard too. But this thing does kind of keep a good balance between those two statistics, and obviously also deliver a lot more hash rate if, you know, hash rate density is of concern to you. Now, this is of course only when comparing it to other silent Kaspa miners. So what if you still want to be mining specifically Kaspa, but you are not bothered by it being silent? Well, I'd say there is a much better deal available if you are willing to just stretch your budget a little bit. So if you can stretch from 2500 to 3800, then this IB-Link BM-KS Max is a way better deal, and I'll explain why I think so. So to start, you are getting basically twice the hash rate at actually slightly better mining efficiency for just 50% more. So 100% more hash rate for just 50% more money. And also not only that, but I just noticed that Coin Mining Central are actually running a promotion right now where for every IB-Link BM-KS Max you order, you also get a free KS0 Ultra with it, completely for free. So basically you are buying this and you're getting one of these for free. So there you go, you get a much better miner and a free miner on top of that, which also has much better efficiency than this Goldshell one. So that is why I think that's a way better deal. But obviously this thing will be loud. Now you could still get around that by setting it up with like a hash vortex shroud kit and an AC Infinity inline fan to make this thing silent. But then that's extra money and effort to get it set up.
So I was editing this video and it turns out that not only can you get the free KS0 Ultra when you buy this miner, but you can also get an additional $130 off by using my discount code 𝗧𝗛. So not only are you getting a free KS0 Ultra, but you are on top of that also getting a, well, almost $130 discount on this thing if you use code 𝗧𝗛. And by the way, that code 𝗧𝗛 works for pretty much all of the miners that I'm going to mention in this video. So just keep that in mind. All right. Now back to the video.
Now, if you can stretch your budget further, then you might want to go instead for something like the IceRiver KS5L, which again, significantly better mining efficiency than the new Goldshell, and also better value for money in terms of price per hash rate, albeit not as good in terms of that compared to the IB-Link. Now, we've looked at how this thing stacks up against the other silent Kaspa miners, as well as if silence isn't an issue for you, how it stacks up against just the other Kaspa miners in kind of the same bracket. But what if instead you aren't really bothered by it specifically mining Kaspa? Well, I personally think there are other options available that you really might want to consider as opposed to this new Goldshell miner in that case. Starting with just the good old Jasminer X16Q, which has recently gone down in price and is now only $2,500. So essentially the exact same price as the new Goldshell miner. This, of course, has a few advantages. One of them being that it only uses 630 watts of power. So this actually can run comfortably on a 120 volt home circuit, no problem at all. It also has Wi-Fi, but of course it's not a Kaspa miner, it's an Ethereum Classic or Octaspace or any other ETH coin miner basically. Or in that same vein, if you are able to stretch your budget a little bit, then the new Bombax home miner, which is also silent and also only uses 640 watts of power, so easily could be run at any home circuit, gives you almost twice the hash rate of the Jasminer for essentially the same amount of power there, but obviously it's a little bit more pricey because of that. So to summarize, if you specifically want to mine specifically Kaspa, for example, if you are wanting to diversify your farm and you want to get a, chunk of Kaspa mining as part of that diverse mining farm, and you are very concerned with noise, then I could see how this new Kaspa miner could make sense. However, if you're not concerned with noise, then I think the IB-Link BM-KS Max with the free IceRiver KS0 Ultra is a much better option for Kaspa mining. Or if you are concerned with it being silent, but you aren't really concerned with it being a Kaspa miner, then I would probably rather look at the Jasminer or the Bombax if you can stretch your budget a little bit. The links to all of these miners will be down in the video description, along with this spreadsheet that I've been using to compare the miners. So go check that out, and that's it. Thanks for watching.